Okay, so this is very diamond oriented. So maybe you're not diamond, or getting your spouse to diamond, something along those lines, or coming and supporting your teammates that are working to get to diamond, so that you're kind of in the know and that you're just supporting and encouraging them in that process. But by this point on this call, consistency shouldn't be an issue, because we can't hit diamond when we're not consistent. Does that make sense? But we're gonna talk about some things that, if you're like, oh crap, log off, I'm not consistent. No, I'm gonna teach you why you're not consistent. That then it's going to allow you to better coach your coaches that are struggling with consistency. Okay. So I need you guys to understand a mindset that I believe is lost. How many of you guys have come to my power half hours on Tuesdays before? Okay, a couple of you. A mindset that's lost, and I'm not saying I teach it over there, because I don't want to step on any other coach's toes, but I was told when I first started this business that if I signed up a new coach every single month, 7 of them would do nothing and 5 of them would do something. That's a failure statistic. More than half of them are going to either be a discount coach or quit on me. So I expected that from the get-go. And he said, if I did that for 6 years, see, that's something that's lost, right? Like, is lost in this business. We're looking to hit it quick, right? But he said, if I did that and I was consistent for 6 years, I would hit my goal, which was to make 6 figures, because that's the goal that Chad gave me. So one, I knew I had to be here for 6 years, which was amazing that he said that, because we had 6 years until he could step away from the military. So I knew it was going to take time. I was not of this, like, I wasn't panicking at month 3 when it wasn't growing how I thought it should grow, right? So that, one, I knew I was going to be here for a while. 2, I fully expected people to quit, right? And so when someone quit, I wasn't demoralized. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I suck as a coach, I probably shouldn't be. I wasn't mad at them. I wasn't mad at myself. It didn't impact whether I showed up the next day or not, because they told me, these people that had been in multi-level marketing for years and had coached other businesses, right? Other companies told me that's about the average. Okay. So I need you to understand that. Okay. So I think that's been lost, that type of mindset. And then once challenge packs were introduced and Success Club, they told me that I had to hit Success Club 5 every month and sign 1 coach up every single month, period. It wasn't like, if you want to. Okay. So that is also a mindset that I feel that has been lost, right? And did I always hit it? Yeah, for the first, yeah, I did actually, for 64 straight, 70 some straight months, right? Because I didn't give myself a choice. That was, I had a goal. And if you're here, and if you want to, you understand, if you want to be diamond, it's because you want to tap into a bigger income. Can you make a good income just on commission in this business? Yes, right? You can, because of retention and all the different tools that we have, right? So if you are like, $250 is cool, right? Or, $500. Yes, we can do that with commission. But if you're here, that's because you're like, I see something bigger than this. I'm not saying you want to make 6 figures. I mean, but you see some bigger potential, and that only comes from volume in this style of business. We aren't selling packages that are $6,000 or $4,000 in commission like some companies do, which, thank goodness. Can you imagine? I see people crumble trying to sell a challenge pack for $130. Can you imagine if I was asking you to sell a $6,000 challenge pack, right? To me, it was perfect, and we can link arms and reach more people. So not only do I love the business structure of it, right, but I love the mission behind it. I cannot succeed by myself in this business. Thank goodness, because to reach more people and to have an impact on more people from different walks of life, I need to link arms with people that have a different story than mine. And I think that's phenomenal, right? And so these things, I believe, get lost. And so Diamond is one of those things that if you want to create a bigger income, that needs to become a no matter what. Does that make sense? Right? Whereas I think we kind of just meh all the time around it for fear of self-hate. Like, because so if you keep trying to hit it and you don't, and your confidence goes down, we have a bigger issue. It's not this business. I see people quit this business. The business make me feel bad. No, your self-worth is tied up in the wrong thing. Okay. So that's where personal development comes in. So if Diamond's your goal, that's a leadership position. Personal development better become a big part of your life, a big part. Okay. And so if that's what keeps happening to you, I need you to know that what you need to work on is your self-worth, because you are not Beachbody. You are not what you're doing in this season of life. Just like you're a mom now, but if you tie your identity to being a mom in 20 years, and I've watched my mom struggle with this, you're going to crumble. Your identity cannot become wrapped up in titles like mom, like Diamond Coach, or anything. Like your self-worth and it's going to be such a much more peaceful journey. So personal development, right? So we need to understand those mindsets, okay, of people that are succeeding in this business. Hit Success Club, period. Okay, every month. You didn't hear me say Success Club 20. I did not. I'm not I just now 10 years later start hitting Success Club 10. You know what I mean? And that's not on purpose. That's because I've invited for freaking 10 years and I'm still here and people are like, fine, tell me what to do. You know what I'm saying? On top of the invites that I'm doing. Does that make sense? So no one said summer. It was called the Magic of 5. No one's talking about it now. We had Summit shirts that said the Magic of 5, right? So you have to develop a standard goal for yourself, okay? And then reverse engineer from it, okay? And everybody might be different, but what are my action steps every single day? And we're gonna get into that. I think you know what they are, but everybody's might be different, right? You might be looking at your closing ratio for coaching and need to invite more than maybe I do 10 years later because my closing ratio is better than it was when I started. We'll talk about that kind of stuff. But I want you guys to get a piece of paper. You guys can print this off later, but we're going to go through this. This is the foundation. This is what I teach all of my challengers. Some of you guys have heard me talk about this, but we're going to do it again. This is what I went and flew to speak to varsity baseball teams in Ohio and taught. Okay? Because what they wanted to do, they were stuck at regionals. They wanted to become state champions, right? I'm telling you right now, it's all mental to get to Diamond. Okay? It's mental. It's just like I told those varsity baseball players. Like, it is not going to necessarily be a skill set unless you're brand new. There's not some new skill that you need. Of course, we can always brush up, and our players are still taking their cuts and looking for the little tweaks. Are they dropping their hands? All of that kind of stuff. Sure, we're still looking at that. But it's not like I need to reteach them how to swing the bat, right? It's all above the shoulders. And that was the program that I taught, right? So let's talk about this, okay? You have to decide, because no one is going to check on you. Because if you're going to be a Diamond coach, and you have to act like a Diamond coach, okay? Nobody can show. I do not show up and count Griffin. Griffin wants to play college football. I'm not checking up on him constantly, make sure he's doing what he wants to do. or needs to do to get there. He has to decide. Like today, he has a practice. He's got a friend over. I said, do you want to go? No. Okay. You know what I mean? Okay. Like that's his decision, right? And if he keeps, if that becomes a habit or a trend or whatever, then I'll ask him, is this still important to you? And we'll reevaluate. But I'm not holding his hand. It has to be important to Griffin, and it has to be important to you. Okay, so that's the first on this paper that I'll send to you guys. Says it's important to me because, and you need to go to that place. Like if you're like, I don't know, like why it's important, you hear these fluffy, and I'm just gonna put it out there, and I'm a Christian answers. It's important to me because I feel called to it by Jesus. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, like I'm gonna go deeper. Go deeper. Okay, because when going gets tough, I'm telling you, most people, I see them post on social media and Jesus isn't all up in that. So you see what I'm saying? Like you better go deeper than that, unless that has been keeping you accountable. That's you, right? But I'm telling you what, I like to run a business for Jesus too. But when things get tough, I know Jesus is going to wipe my slate clean. You know what I mean? So you have to dig deep. And if that's a hard question, a hard thing for you to wrap your brain around, if you do nothing, go there. If you do nothing, who will this impact the most in your life, right? So for me, if I did nothing 10 years ago, I was tired. I had a 10-month-old. I had a 4-year-old. Chad was deployed. We lived in a fixer-upper. We didn't have a lot of money. I was tired. All of my military friends were getting together, and they would go to Bunko and Grey's Anatomy night, and it was so fun with beer and wine and pizza. You know what I mean? That was way more fun than what I was doing, right? And I got made fun of for being like, can't do that tonight. But I had identified why it was important to me. And that's what's going to pull you out of bed, right? That's what's going to make you make hard decisions, right? So if I did nothing with the business, how would that really have impacted us? Who knows how many deployments we would have been on by this point? At least 3, 4, 5 more deployments for us, because his squadron, the pace of his deployments were intense. He probably would have had a factor by now, which is a pilot that's embedded in the infantry. Okay, so like, who would that impact? Well, it would impact our marriage. It would impact my kids. They wouldn't know their dad. We would have moved how many more times, which I know we did that anyway. You know what I'm saying? But I had to get real with myself because Chad's income was not changing. Incrementally with his rank, sure, but it's not that impressive. And we were $100,000 in debt. Not to mention, I was bored, unfulfilled. And that's going to impact everybody, right? So this is where you have to identify for yourself and read it over and over and over again. The other thing I came to terms with is struggling financially runs is generational curse on my side, right? Generational curse. My parents have no money. My grandparents died in a trailer park with no money, no insurance. It was just a sad, and it was generational. It just kept going. And I know it stops here, but it didn't look like it was stopping because we were $100,000 in debt. We had credit cards, we had student loans, we had a car that we shouldn't have, we bought a house that we shouldn't buy in North Carolina, that we were just which is just what my parents did, just death by 1,000 cuts, just bought the new Jeep Grand Cherokee when they shouldn't have, moved to a bigger house, just death by 1,000. Chad and I were on the same exact path, right? And so when I looked, 30 years down the road, I knew it. I didn't have to imagine. I knew what it looked like. I knew what the financial fights sounded like because I heard them every day in my household growing up. So there were multiple layers of why I was willing to show up, why I was willing to show up when people made fun of me, why I was willing to show up when nobody was saying yes, why I was willing to run events and get yelled at in the middle of it. I did a long post the other day about, Eric Thomas says, if it hurts, welcome to the big leagues. It's going to hurt. This is a part that nobody tells you, which they told me. They're like, you're going to have every year, 7 out of your 12 are going to quit. They're going to ask you questions. You're going to show up with them, and they're still going to do nothing. Right? And I wrote that in my post. I have people that say, oh my gosh, I want this so bad, and then don't come to the scheduled trainings, and then end up in my inbox wanting trained. Like, do you know what I'm saying? That's frustrating. I get it, but I was told 7 out of every 12 are going to do that. Can you imagine when I started recruiting 2 a month, 14 of the people were going to jerk me around like that. You have to show up anyway with a holy anticipation. I trusted the people that told me it would work. I did everything they said to do, but it was important to me. So you have to journal about that, and you have to read it. You got to keep it in front of your face. And I did. I always told myself, if I don't do this, it's a life of deployment, Summer. If I don't do this, you're raising kids by yourself, Summer. If you don't do this, Summer, you're going to move every 2 years or every year like you have, and your kids are never going to have the high school friends that you had. Summer, if you keep, that was front and center. If you don't do this, right? So it's important to me. It has to be important to you. And then at the bottom, Chalene Johnson taught me this. I shared my heart with, and you want to tell someone that you never, ever would want to look in the face and say, nah, I just quit. I don't feel like it. Chalene Johnson taught me that. I told Casey Wallace 10 years ago, I'm going to make 6 figures with this business. She had no idea what that meant, but she was one of those people, like, that had a relationship with the words that came out of her mouth. I used to call it, what would Casey do? Just such a good person that I would never want to be flaky in the eyes of Casey Wallace. And so that's who I picked. And sometimes that kept me going. Like, I don't want her to be like, 2 years later, like, how's your business going? Oh, I quit. You know what I mean? Never, ever did I want to have that conversation. I wanted to be like, it's going good. I've struggled a little bit, but I'm getting there. I wanted that type of conversation with her. So you got to find someone to share it with. Chalene Johnson taught me that. Okay. This is all building the foundation that you have to launch from. The next is you have to identify the keys to your success. Okay. There are certain things that you have to do in this business. And I think we all know them. That if you don't do them, you can't succeed, right? If you don't invite to your team, you cannot succeed, period. End of story. There should be no surprise if you haven't, we're at the end of this month, if you haven't invited about 20 plus people to your team, don't be surprised that your volume's not growing or that your team's not growing, okay? So there are certain keys to success. It's kind of like a baseball or a softball player cannot not know how to throw the ball. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I really don't like throwing the ball. Like, there was this guy that I sat next to and on the plane. His daughter is about 20 years behind me in the same softball circle of Ohio. Like, there's just certain teams in Ohio, like the Stingrays, Heart of Ohio, like that, like all know each other. You know what I mean? And now his daughter was 20 years behind me, and we just got to talking about that. His daughter was phenomenal, but somewhere in her head, along the way, in her senior year, she was a catcher, could not get the ball back to the pitcher anymore. I've seen this with catchers, and then it became a mental thing. Guess what? You can't recruit a catcher that cannot throw the ball back to the pitcher. Now, she could throw someone out at second base, no problem. But if you can't get the ball back to the pitcher, you're unrecruitable, not valuable. You have to be able to throw the ball, and she couldn't, and so she quit. It's those type of things you have to be able to invite to your team. The things we have to do. We have to fill our funnel. We have to connect with people genuinely. Your Facebook is your marketing. Your Instagram is your marketing. It's just marketing. It's just marketing yourself. Like, not everybody's gonna like you. It's like Nebraska. Nebraska's not for everyone. Say it with me. Say your name. Ready? Summer's not for everyone. Say it. Fill it. Everybody, fill your name with it. I'll say it at the same time. Blank is not for everyone. Fill your name. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Summer is not for everyone. Okay, you guys all said that? Everyone is not going to like you. But we already talked about our identity. Our identity is not wrapped up in everybody else. So you're cool with that. Like, Nebraska is totally not offended that none of us want to live there. You know, Nebraska's like, you know what? Maybe we should just not be a state anymore. They're not offended. Okay, you shouldn't be offended either. Okay, so we have to get that down. The keys to your success. There are certain things that you have to do to be a great diamond coach and grow this business. Okay, and we know them. And you have to fill your funnel. You have to connect. You have to invite to your team. You have to follow up, do personal development. And you have to run your social media. Okay, so those are our keys to success. What's your rise ball? Is the next one. You have to identify the thing that causes you to strike out, so to speak. And for me in softball, it was a rise ball. I am a sucker. It looks like a freaking watermelon, right? When it's coming high, but I wasn't disciplined enough to keep my hands high to go through it. My hands naturally dropped. And so then I'm coming through like that. And so every time a rise ball either struck me out or I popped it right back up to the pitcher or the catcher or to the left fielder. Every time. So, you know, your enemy, so to speak, knows your rise ball. They do. They study you. Like in softball, they study you. They know, oh, here comes Atkins. She is going to throw her the rise ball. Easy out. If I refuse to address that, well, I'm just not good at them, then I would have been slowly but surely benched and not be in the lineup. And that's what starts to happen to us. We slowly in this business get benched because we don't want to acknowledge our rise ball. Why? Because our identity is all wrapped up in being perfect, right? We don't want to admit that we got a rise ball. And slowly but surely, we just start avoiding the things that could have helped us grow through it. Right? So you have to identify what trips you up in this business. What causes you not to show up? What rise ball does the enemy use to get you to stop showing up for what's important in your life? We all have something, and sometimes it's the same, sometimes it's different, right? For me right now, deleted all my social media off my phone because my rise ball is all the hatred on social media right now. It's a rise ball for me. I know it. I just got to take it off. I know it. And because if I don't take it off, I will just delete all of my accounts, period. I know myself. I've talked to my assistant about it, right? So right now, that's my rise ball. If you think that your rise ball, you're never going to develop another one, you will. And self-awareness is going to allow you to continue to take steps in a positive direction. Because I'll tell you what, if I never took it out, like, and some people that are in texting messages with me know, like, the only reason I'm here with you guys right now is because I knew it was my rise ball and took action steps to overcome my rise ball. Otherwise, like, screw it. I don't want to do anything with anybody. Everybody's so mean, right? You have to know what your rise ball is. So start telling me a little bit. What are your guys' rise balls? Type it in the thing. You have to identify it, okay, and then you have to think about how you're going to overcome it. Fear of being told you're wrong. Oh, you're going to be told you're wrong. You're going to be rejected. Trust me. Trust me. Like, just when you think you're doing it right, someone else is going to tell you you're running your team wrong. Okay, so I love that we're admitting that stuff, but just know that you're going to be wrong. I got a message from such a sweet girl yesterday that I answered. Her coach is doing something a little different. I get this message a lot. And what do? It's different from me. Let them do it. Everybody's different. You know, because that was hard for her. She was like, oh my gosh, does that make me wrong? Like, no, it doesn't make you wrong. It makes us all different, right? Okay, so you need to know what your rise ball is. And then when you see the rise ball coming, you're aware of it, and you know how to adjust, right? So I knew a rise ball was my, what tripped me up, struck me out, right? So I started studying rise balls. Some people ignore the rise ball. Don't do that. You know how people say don't focus on your weaknesses? Crap. That is the worst advice ever. Really, like think about it from an athletic standpoint. If you are a second baseman and you don't move well, non-glove side, and you don't work on that, what are you gonna do? Stand further closer to second base and make all of your moves go that way? No. You have to know your weakness, and then you have to work on it if it's part of being successful, right? So when you have to, like, so when I noticed that a rise ball was what was tripping me up, I started studying pitchers that throw rise balls. And I started to pick up on little things that I could even see at the plate, that she was bending back a little bit when she did it, knew a rise ball was coming. You start to pick up. So then I trained my hands to stay high. So I went from being the person that got struck out to don't throw Atkins a rise ball ever. She will freaking rip it out of the park. It can go to the other direction very quickly. If you're willing to recognize it, you see it coming, and then you attack it. Some people will be like, I won't swing at a rise ball. Good luck with that. Okay, so I'm out of breath. Okay, so you got to identify your rise ball. Okay, the next thing that we have to do at the bottom right here, it says failure amnesia. To be successful, you have to have failure amnesia, right? We got 10 minutes left. That's okay. I'm going to knock these last two out, and then I'll jump back on for Q&A if you have questions. Failure amnesia. So I had to teach the baseball players, and I had to learn this as a softball player. If I had an error in the field, reset. You cannot take that error into the next batter. The only reason we think about it constantly is we're not confident in ourselves. As an athlete on the field, maybe it's like, oh, what's the coach thinking about me? What my dad thinking about me? What are my players thinking about? But when you're secure in who you are, it's easy. It doesn't, that error did not define me, right? So I teach it to my batters. If they struck out last time, okay, guess what? 2/3 of the time, batters strike out. Are you going to get pissed every time you strike out? You see what I'm saying? So if we're inviting, let's just say 3 people a day, right? For 30 days, that's 90 invites. And you guys are afraid of being told no. Do you think 90 people are going to tell you yes? No. About, 87 are going to tell you no. Like I told my baseball players, 2 out of 3 times you're going to get out. That's a fact, right? So we have to be able to have failure amnesia. So what, in that spot down here, I'm going to ask you, what are the things, the failures that you keep playing over and over and over and over? Like you just keep reminding yourself of how much you suck at this. Maybe it was the time you lost rank. Maybe it was way before that. Maybe it was the time you dropped out of school. Maybe whatever you keep telling yourself, you have got to identify it, right? And then you have to work to have amnesia. Like, look, Summer, I forgive you for, maybe start there. I forgive you for, like one of the things I hate telling about is how Chad and I moved 3 different colleges. I gave him a full ride to follow him to Miami of Ohio, then made that team as starting second baseman in Miami, just to be told, but just that Chad was going to go to Ohio State. And so I gave up that and went to Ohio State with him, which I did not walk on there. So I also used to get super mad at myself because I was invited to play at Florida State, but I let money take me to another place. You see what I'm saying? Like these little things that we continually remind ourselves about, you can't move past. Never hitting Success Club. Like, do you know what I mean? To just tell you, like that becomes a broken tape. Like you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck. That's really what that sounds like. Can you imagine if your child was learning to walk, which is what you guys are doing on the road to Diamond? You're learning to walk in this business. right? You're learning, you're getting your leg, you're going to fall. A baby, you don't expect your 9, 10, 11, 12-month-old to just stand up and start sprinting, right? And when they fall, do you stand over top of them and go, you suck, I can't believe, like, don't you know so-and-so's walking since 9 months and you're 12 months old, freaking suck, I can't believe you're my child. Said no mom ever. Yeah, you do that to yourself, right? So to be able to go to the next level in anything, baseball players, softball players, Beachbody, you have to have failure amnesia. You have to identify those things. You have to write them down. Some of them are sitting in your subconscious, and you have to get quiet, right? Because your subconscious is trying, your body is trying to protect you, right? You have to get quiet, let yourself sit there and let it start playing in your head, and it'll come out. I learned that from a therapist. So that was helpful for Chad. Okay, last one, we got 5 minutes, is down here, which is not near a small enough box. So you're gonna need a whole journal for this. Wins and successes. But I just wanted to get you guys started. If consistency plus time plus intensity multiplied by your belief equals your results, that means the biggest piece of this puzzle is your belief system. Your belief is what impacts your intensity. It's what impacts how long you stay consistent, right? The time that you stick with this. You know, your belief is whether you show up tomorrow to do it. The only reason you don't show up is because you don't believe it'll work, whether it's for you or for whatever belief system you're holding, right? But it generally revolves around something very personal. The reason I know that, so it's a belief system around yourself, not the company. The reason I know that is because y'all listen to National Wake Up. I mean, I am in the roundtable where every week they recognize a 5-star and multiple 5 stars. So it's not like the company's not growing. It's nothing like that. It'd be like me back in the day saying, people my size, because I'm short, don't play D1. That would be a limiting belief of mine. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you saying like, oh, I just late to the party, or you can't make as much money now, or you can't hit those ranks anymore. It's harder. No, because we have people sharing all the time on National Wake Up Calls, and we see new people hit 5-star, 3-star. I see them all the time. So it's not that. It's you not celebrating what you do that's awesome, right? Because everything's gonna propel you forward. Your belief system in yourself is gonna propel you forward. So if you don't think your weight loss story is enough, you won't invite as much. But if you're respecting the gap and you're like, dude, my mental state has changed. I'm having more fun in my life than I ever have. I wake up happy, or whatever has changed for you when we do that before and after challenge group, you will invite differently because your belief system is like, wow, look what I have to offer. It is going to come out to people, right? The number one characteristic of a great promoter, which is what we are promoting, we're promoting a healthier lifestyle. The number one is passion and enthusiasm. And all of us have it. All of us have passion and enthusiasm about something. I'm looking at people get so mad on social media about things, and I'm like, see, told you they had passion and enthusiasm. You know what I mean? It's just geared into a different place. If we can get them to put it somewhere positive, right? Be different. So this, what I just shared with you guys, is the entire foundation. And this is where you have to launch from. I promise you, if you've been spinning your wheels and it hasn't grown, or you just can't get there, it's because you either forgot to haven't done this, or you haven't done this in a while, you didn't take it seriously, right? Reading it to yourself over and over and over again, why is it? Because it's going to be hard. I'm just gonna put that out there. Like, people are gonna tell you you're not doing enough. Challengers are gonna blame you for their lack of success. The question will be, is this important enough for you to show up? And have you done enough work on yourself to know that that's a reflection of them and not you? Right? I have some stories. Some of you guys have watched me. My mother-in-law has watched me navigate some crazy crap in this business, and I'm still here because it's important to me, right? It's important to me. Someone once said, if you don't want anyone to hate you, which I think this doesn't work anymore, but if you don't want anybody to disagree with you, if you don't want any problems, go work at Walmart or Target. But now Target seems to have issues too, and Walmart. But you see what I'm saying? At Walmart, I've gone there before. The employees have earbuds in their ear. They don't have no care in the world. I can help you with anything. If that's the kind of life you want, where no one can ever blame you, you have no responsibility, this isn't the place, not the place. Okay? So I got less than 1 minute left. And like I told you guys, I'll always speak for 30 to 40 minutes. That was the foundational piece. Always be recorded. It'll go out so we can start building this. And then I'll log back on for some of the questions that people have, and that won't be recorded. Okay, so if you have questions, I'm gonna log off, log back on the same link, and we'll go through some of the things. I got another 30-ish minutes that we can go through things. Cool? Yes. Okay, see you guys in a second.